Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of No Bleed Edition. Welcome back to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. Um, we're back, and I mean, hey, victory formation. It's not Monday, but I'll take it. Another victory formation in the books. We're here to discuss it. Um, I was on vacation. I'm not gonna lie. I watched highlights. I watched them. I caught what I could, but I'm gonna turn it over to my co-host as always, and I'll let him take the lead on this one since he watched, and we'll discuss this week's game and as far as to season finale and the playoffs. So I'm sure Benji has something to say before we get into the whole game. So I'll pass it
Yeah,
over to you.
yeah. First and foremost, before we get into anything, prayers to uh, Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills organization, as well as T. Higgins and the Cincinnati Bengals. That was a really messed up scene. And as long as I've been a football fan and somebody who has played football, Joe, you play, coach, everything. Like honestly, I don't think either one of us have ever experienced a moment like that before. And shout out to everybody that actually stepped up and put the game and everything aside, any rivalries, anything that anybody had. Because the game was chippy a little bit before that. But once that happened, everybody remembered, like, yo, these are all people. And that put everything to a dead stop. So, just as a fan of a completely unrelated team, somebody who is always champion, man before fan, I love it. Thank you. And once again, prayers out to everybody that was affected by the situation last night. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, you picked a hell of a day to not watch that game.
Yo, man, I couldn't do anything about it. Like it was like I couldn't do anything about it. It was what's legit? What's going on? Legit, how you been, man? Um, oh yeah, we are streaming on Twitch also.
Yeah.
Legit. We were just getting ready to talk about the Giants game, but I know you are a fan of the Chargers. So we would love to hear your thoughts on that game. We'll get to it a little bit, but I think me and Paul will probably talk more so about the other games tomorrow. But yeah, man. Listen, I picked up like it was a rough game to miss. I know. I was on vacation. It was the holiday season. I had to go see my lady, and I got to spend some quality time. So like I said, I saw what I could see. I watched highlights. They showed some replays. I'll try to watch that. I was reading everything that was going on as far as play-by-play score and everything. I was trying to stay off my phone, but at the same time, I was still trying to watch a little bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah, I know. I picked a horrible game to miss for us. Yeah, yeah, legit. We talked about the DeMar Hamlin situation, and it's a freak accident. It was crazy. It to be honest, like, nothing else really can describe it. Like Benji said at the beginning, uh, our thoughts and prayers are just with him and everybody, everybody to just again like I coach football and I had something happen earlier this past football season. Something kind of similar happened in this football season to us, and it's a scary feeling. It really is. One of our kids went down in kind of a similar fashion, and he had to be, you know, the ambulance came on and everything. I don't want to get into a whole bunch of details about it, but the ambulance came on and everything, and it is a very scary feeling. It's it sucks that's happening. It's something that you can't control, and it's like you turn around and you see not only like your players emotional, but the other team's emotional, coaches, family, friends, and for that to happen, and then for them to go and say, okay, like keep playing now, keep coaching,
Hmm.
it takes a lot, and it really it, it's a really rough situation that you never want to see happen to anybody.
Hmm.
But yeah, you like I said, you're gonna lead this one as far as everything that happened. I will put my thoughts out there and my comments as much as I possibly can. So you go
Yeah.
ahead.
To also the answer legit. Yeah, trust me, I completely understand as far as the the outcome of the game and everything being like that because it threw a lot of stuff into flux when it came to certain things. That hell, I'm in a fantasy championship right now, and both of us have players in this game. So our championship game is completely just it's on hold right now. But the
Mhm.
more important thing is the fact that Damar Hamlin, sorry, is actually okay. So like I said, when it comes to stuff like that, that's secondary, and it will we'll figure it out, going forward. Especially like you say, you guys are going to be doing the show later on in the week, for the predictions and everything. We're looking at the season just continuing as if the game was suspended, but we don't know what's going to happen with that game going forward. So,
Right.
but like I said, we'll figure it out from there. Anyway, Sunday, good things. The
Yeah, I know.
New York Giants clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2016. All right. The curse of the boat trip is over. It's gone. It is done. All right. I don't want to hear anything about this stupid picture ever again. All right.
Yeah,
Although
for real.
I did see on Twitter or whatever, the Giants went out and spent $40,000 in some type of a restaurant or something, but they did as a team. So,
That's fine. Like, I'm completely fine with that.
I just don't want to hear anybody bring nothing up talking about, oh, so now y'all want to go to a restaurant, and that's why y'all didn't live.
Yeah, we can't eat now. Like,
You know what I'm
we
saying?
can't eat. Like, dang, you can't do nothing.
Yeah, man. But anyway, we also broke a loser streak against the Colts. I believe we were 0-4 in our last ones. I think the last time we beat them was like 2002 or something like
Jeez,
that.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we had a pretty bad go of things ever since the start of the Eli Manning era. I don't think we had beaten them since then because the first time we played them was the Manning Bowl, the original one in 2006.
Mm,
Um, but that was the first time we had beaten them. The offense. We're gonna get into like our usual thing: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just go over
mm,
some stats real quick. Daniel Jones was 19-24, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It looked as though, like, if you were to just look at that stat line, you'd be like, yeah, it was real pedestrian. But anybody who actually watched that game and saw the way that Daniel Jones was moving in the pocket, manipulating everything around him, getting out when he needed to, spreading the ball around. He had 6 different receivers that caught passes. Richie James led the team, 7 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown. Hodgins was Hodgins as usual, 4 catches, 42 yards and a touchdown. Bellinger, Daniel Bellinger, once he finally 100% gets it, because again, what people don't understand, Bellinger's still a rookie, right? Granted, at the end of the year, players on the team are actually like, yo, you're not a rookie anymore. Like, you're part of this team and you need to contribute. Just amazing. Daniel Bellinger has the highest catch percentage of any receiver on the New York Giants roster. He's sitting at 85%, and mind you, that is because, and he is still a rookie. Daniel Bellinger only had 3 catches for 42 yards, but those 3 catches, all 3 of them were great catches in pivotal spots that actually set us up for scores and things going forward. Slayton has it too. Slayton had a really off game yesterday. 2 catches, 14 yards. He did have the fumble, but what I did like in that situation, one of the things I wanted to bring up was the coaching, specifically Brian Daboll. He went over there when Slayton fumbled the ball. Granted, when he fumbled, we're up 24-3.
mm,
And Slayton fumbled or whatever. Indianapolis got the ball. Defense stopped him and everything like that, which is, again, that's irrelevant to what I'm talking about right now. But the fact that Dable got in Slayton's face and made him understand, like, listen, you cannot do that regardless of what the situation is. Fundamentals are fundamentals, and you got to do what's necessary to protect the football when you have it. Reminded me of something I was watching on what's the Super Bowl documentary thing that they do on NFL Network. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head or whatever. I know Missing Rings is the ones for the Super Bowl losers, but it's the other one.
the Sam Smith's music.
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called or whatever, but they do the full documentary on the season. And everything. Anyway, long story short, it reminded me of Parcells getting in Phil Simms' face in the middle of us being up by like 20 points in the Super Bowl. You can't take a sack right there. And Simms like, why are you getting on my case? We'll win it. Doesn't matter. That's a coaching point.
Right.
So regardless of what the situation is, and that's what's showing me about Dable, he does not care. He's going to coach you. Right? On top of that, Andrew Thomas. The fact that this man did not get into the Pro Bowl is a travesty. It is something that needs to be investigated because this man was throwing people on some sit your little ass down boy type shit. Anytime anybody broke onto that outside, you saw a defender on his ass. Not on his ass chasing, on his ass rolling on the ground because Andrew Thomas tossed him. 78. I'm up here, then everybody's sitting up here thinking about, we got to extend Daniel Jones, got to give him a new contract. We got to extend, Saquon Barkley, got to give him a new contract. Dexter Lawrence, got to give him a new contract. 78, need a new contract. That man needs to be locked down for the New York Giants for the next 20 years. I don't give a damn. And then got past that real quick. Like I said, I talked about Hodges, talked about James. Big ups to Landon Collins. Welcome back to New York. I know it's been a couple of weeks or whatever, but this right here, aside from the little plays and things that we didn't see, coming up, making big stops and stuff like that, this was the first time he was able to put his imprint on something. And that something was him catching a pick six, putting us up 21-3 in the second quarter. Once we caught that interception, the game was done. And no doubt in my mind whatsoever, that game was over. And the mere fact that I can say that as somebody who's been watching the 2022 New York Giants all year and how it is that we play, how it is that every single game just has to be tight, just says something about how this team's playing that day. Playing on Sunday. It was absolutely incredible. If you want to add anything to it before we start hopping into the bad stuff, go right on ahead, man.
Like I said, what up, Hit? What up? I was gonna hit you up, Hit, see if you want to come on the show, but I know we've been talking. I know things are a little busy for you right now. But yeah, we gotta get you back. Definitely gotta get you back on the show, Hit. Like I said, I watched what I could. But I do know, and I did pay attention to a lot of the stat lines and everything. I watched Landon Collins' interception replay maybe like 15 times. It was just like it was such a great thing to see. Like, so it killed me because like Landon Collins didn't do this half the time when he was here the first time. Like, so from my man, like he wasn't known for his coverage. Like, he was known for coming downhill and making big tackles and stuff like that. So for Landon Collins to play great coverage and jump a play and pick it off and then run, like, it was just that to me was like one of the biggest things. Yeah, it was nice to see LC. One is nice to see LC back in blue, back in back on the Giants. It should have never left in the first place, but yeah, it was definitely just definitely great to see him. And that play was just, it was like, yo, why hasn't this guy been playing? Why hasn't he been playing more often? Like, yeah, legit, we're going to do the pick 'em podcast tomorrow. Um, I assume I got to talk to Paul, but I'm more than sure we are. Um, so yeah, it was just great to see that. I know we watched Dexter Lawrence again. I know you didn't really talk about it too much, and I know we were talking before we even got on, but Dexter Lawrence, man, my man is a different breed this year,
The
a different
animal.
breed, a different breed. And I know you said like talk about locking people up, and I saw a graphic earlier, and I think I saved it, but I saw a picture earlier. I got it. I got this graphic. All right. Stop doing the dance. Stop doing the dance. Well, okay. This is NFL ranks. 63 tackles, which is third most by a D tackle in the league. 7.5 sacks, which is second in the league. 25 quarterback hits, which is first in the league. And 2 forced fumbles, which is tied for first in the league. How is this man not a Pro Bowler? Well, my man is top four in every almost every major stat category as an interior
Wait a
defensive
minute.
back.
I thought Dex did get in.
Huh?
I thought
Oh,
Dex
that's right. He
did.
did. He did. He did. He did. I was right. I messed up. I'm wrong. How is he? To me, it's like how is he not considered? Sorry, that's not what I meant. How is he not considered like a top five D tackle at this point?
Mm,
My man's having a monster year, and yeah, like he's another one that needs to be locked up. Like these people are the cornerstones of this team, along with DJ, along with Saquon. He needs to be locked up. I'm very interested to see going forward what's going to happen as far as the other guys that we brought. Like I hope and pray that we bring Landon back. Like I hope we bring Landon back next year because he's like one on and off the field. The guys one on the field, his plays already elevated us, elevated the linebacker core and everything. Off the field, the guy's a proven solid veteran leader. So I mean, those two things alone, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting somebody who knows how to carry himself off the field and in the locker room, and on the field knows how to play the game. So I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't bring him back. So I mean, I hope we do bring him back. And I wouldn't mind Tony Jefferson back either. I think Jefferson's been playing well when he's got the time. I know we're always talking about upgrades and everything, and the secondary would probably be one of the biggest things for me as far as like a Dory. Oh, opposite of Dory. What do you do with Fabian Moreau? Then you have all the other backups and everything as far as like the kid Nick McLeod and everything. I know we're gonna get into that. Um like I was saying, I think I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter after the Giants game, and I was like, can you just imagine? Like, I don't know where we're going to land in the draft. I don't know if we're going to lean more for corner, more receiver, what else we're going to do. I have no clue what we're going to do. But I'm just looking at next year, and I'm just like, if you have a receiving core of like Hodges, and you add somebody like a Jackson Smith along with Wandale coming back, like, and then you could keep Richie James as like in your fourth. My thing was like, what do you do with Sterling and Slayton? Do you let them battle it out for the fifth receiver? Do you keep six? Like, what do you do? Cause I saw that we re-signed David Sills today, and we signed some guy Jackson Heflin as like a D tackle. We waived him and brought back Sills. But I'm like, what do you do at your receiver position? And I bring that up to you, and I mean I'm going to open up to anybody that's watching. Like if if you care about the situation as far as receiver and what are your thoughts going into next year. But Benjamin, I was going to ask you like, what do you do with your receiving core next year? And plays like that, I only bring it up because of plays like that would where we go into the halftime 21-3, and I missed the play again. I was out. So I
mm,
missed the play. I know I was telling you like I want to check my phone as much as possible, keep me updated on the game and everything. And you were like, all right, I got you. And then it came in the half, like came out the half, and you were just like Slayton fumbled, and I'm just like, bro, like these are things you can't have. Like it's 21-3, I get it. Like, but these are things you can't have. Capitalize on people. Like, don't take your foot off the gas. Don't get lackadaisical. Stop. Don't slack
mm-hmm.
because you're not promised next year. Of all people, you're not promised next year. Like, so I'm like, one, you were on chopping block because of your money anyway. People were asking, people wanted you to cut, people wanted you to take a reduced salary, whatever it may have been. So next year's already not promised for you. Plays like this, and then watching people like Richie James and Hodgins step up throughout the whole season kind of shows that you can be expendable. We picked up two good receivers that have really helped carry us to the playoffs. This kind of shows you we can move on from you if we so choose to. We can go draft another receiver in the fifth round who's fast. Like, so to me, it's like, what do you do at the receiver position? Like, what would you suggest, or what do you think?
That's actually a bit of a conundrum for me, just because of the fact that both of them, both of them have their good points and their bad points. Excuse me. Slayton, his advantage over Sterling Shepard is the fact that he's been available. Shepard has a very, very bad injury history. As much as I love the guy, he has a horrible injury history. And it's just like, on top of the fact that aside from, the injuries to his legs and things like that, he has a concussion history too. So to the availability point, I would lean more towards Slayton. But the fact is that Sterling Shepard is a massive leader in that locker room. Like, even to the point where he's still out there right now
Yep.
leading this team and making sure that they stay on point and things like that, just from the sidelines. So, like, honestly, to that point, I don't really have an answer for it right now. If I was going to lean one over the other one, I would probably say Sterling Shepard, just because of the fact that, like I said, you can very, very easily replace the production that Slayton gives you, but it's hard to replace the leadership that a guy like Sterling Shepard gives you. But at the same time, the receiver position needs to be addressed anyway. So we'll see
Yeah,
what happens. For all we know, neither one of them could be here next year.
true. I would probably lean. I'd probably lean Shepard also, just because again, like you said, the leadership, and especially if you move on from both of them, you're looking at a very inexperienced and young locker room. Like again, like
Right.
you have Hodgins, and Hodgins has great size, and he's really showed he can be something for us. So he definitely needs to be brought back next year. Then you have Richie James, but they're both younger guys. So I mean, if you move on from Sterl, who's like what 30, almost 30, over 30,
Just about. I want to say he came out in 2016, so he's about 29, 30.
that's what I'm
If he
thinking.
if he if he was drafted at 22, yeah.
I'm like, if you move on from him, you move on from Slayton. Slayton's young too, but it's like even if you go draft a receiver, you have three young receivers that are probably all under the age of 25. Maybe Richie James is 25, 26. But again, somebody who hasn't seen the field like that can really be a leader to the team. Like
Mhm.
Shepard could be pushing 30, so I probably would also give the edge back to Shepard. But like just plays like that are like what killed me. It's like it was the first play out of the half, or like what a couple plays into the half, and it's
I,
like
I want to say it was the first play of our possession in the second because we deferred at the coin toss. We won the toss.
right,
Deferred until the second half. Got the ball in the second. Came out there up 24-3, and then the very first pass that we throw, I believe it was the first one. He catches the ball, and it's not like he's doing anything like detrimental, like he's not hopping around, dancing, or anything like that. He was just sloppy with the ball, and it just got punched out, and there was nobody else there. He had two defenders on. So yeah, it was just a bad job at that point.
yeah. So like plays like that just like make you seem like, oh, you're expendable, dude. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't tighten up, we're gonna find somebody to replace you. So that was my 2 cents on that. But
All right, well, we can move on to the next thing. The bad in the game. Um, the run defense, as always, was spotty. There were a lot of situations that showed up where it just seemed like our linebackers got caught in the wash. Although, like I said, you had our linebackers in this case um, being Jalen Smith, being Tamon Fox, being what's his face, Michael McFadden, Landon Collins. If you include Landon Collins in it, they accounted for about 17 tackles, 9 of which were Jalen Smith by himself. So it's like he was making plays after the fact, but when you see us line up in a certain position where it looks like you have our edge rusher, and then you have a massive gap between our edge and our actual interior defensive lineman who's lined up like you know what that lineup looks like where you have that unbalanced defensive line. You have something like that set up, and then your edge gets washed out on the side because he's the only one over there. He's going 2-on-1 or whatever. Somebody's got to be there to fill that gap. It's set up like that for a reason. So I'm not sure what's going on with communication, with the play recognition. I'm not sure what the issue is with that, but that's another thing that absolutely needs to be addressed. Um, the Jalen Smith play, like I said, I'm not going to completely fault him with that, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's when he let up off of the sack that he had. I'm not going to completely fault him with that. That is like conditioning from when it comes to everybody just basically being like, all right, well, quarterback has to be protected. So if you look at him the wrong way, it's going to be a 15-yard penalty or whatever, and then you're going to basically screw up everything for your team. We ended up with a similar. It's honestly, it's the exact same situation as a Matthias Kiwanuka play back in 2006 against Tennessee, where he went in there, had Vince Young wrapped up or whatever, and it sounded like, and I can vouch for it myself because I thought I heard a whistle in that play too. He thought he heard a whistle, and he stopped and he turned and he looked at the ref. So it's honestly the same thing. When Jalen Smith hit, I believe that was Ellinger at the time. Um, when he hit him, quarterback's arm went forward and kind of sort of landed on his back. So just instinct tells you like, oh, he threw the ball. So I can see him backing off on that. And then you ended up with the situation, whatever happened on that play after that or whatever. I mean, it doesn't end up being anything completely detrimental, but at the same time, if that was to happen, say, in the NFC playoffs, it happens to Kirk Cousins instead, and we're in a critical drive or something like that.
Right.
That's something that the rules committee themselves is really going to have to look into because it's just like, yo, you can't be having people sit up here and be fooled not by something that the other team did, but more so by your own rule book. That's something that really needs to be addressed. And the last thing that I was going to bring up real quick was, and I heard Carl Banks actually excusing this, saying he had to get his legs under him and he was in the right position to make the play anyway. But Xavier McKinney, I believe on Indianapolis's second drive, I can't remember if it was the first drive or the second drive, but yeah, it was the second drive of the game. McKinney gave up a 49-yard pass, right? Granted, he had help on the play or whatever, but I say he gave up the play himself because both he and whoever the receiver was in the play, it wasn't Pittman, because that's the only receiver I know for them right off the top of my head. But
Mm.
he went up for the interception where he could have honestly very easily just went and knocked the ball down, and you ended up giving up a massive play on that one. And it's just like, you got to know the situation because that was a third down play. It was third and long. You had the quarterback just launching a prayer up or whatever. There's no need to go for the interception at that point. Like, I get it, you want to make an impact or whatever, but sometimes making that impact could be more beneficial in a way that isn't as, I want to say, superstardom-esque for yourself. You don't have to pick that ball off. Just knock it down. There's nobody else there. It's just y'all three. So that's my one nitpick with that right there. You can go ahead and give your 2 cents on that.
Um, I mean, well, as far as the McKinney play, you're spot on. And my thing is, I'm kind of interested in like what's like. I'm not gonna say it's weight, but like I almost want to talk about like the secondary coach, like the cornerback coach, and like what is it that we're teaching at this point? Because you saw it with Julian Love a week or two ago
Mm-hmm.
with the Eagles game, and now you saw it this past game. Like we're just like the angles just seem to be off, and we're misjudging the ball, and so that's like my gripe about it. It's like it's not like a isolated incident. I feel like we've seen this multiple times this year. Just our safeties misplaying and misjudging the ball in the air. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's like a thing they're being taught or is it just like a young and dumb kind of play. Because I know McKinney's first game back in a long time, so he's shaking the rust off, I guess. And the same thing, like, but then Love, it's like you've been playing all year and you've been playing pretty much since you've been playing fine, but it's like lately we're just misjudging the ball in the air. So I'm like, is this a coaching thing? Like, what is the coach teaching you that is making all of you jump like this? I don't know what it is, but like, yeah, hits. I think it's a young and dumb kind of play. And I think I kind of agree. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here like, what is it that we're all just misjudging the ball like every time in the air? It seems. Um, so whether that's a young and dumb kind of play, or if it's a coaching thing, I just kind of hope that they can fix that because it's going to need to be fixed for the playoff run we're going to be on.
Right.
Um, hopefully. Um, as far as the Jalen Smith incident or not incident, but Jalen Smith play, I'm going to put it on the rules. I'm also going to put it on Jalen Smith because at the end of the day, you know how to tackle.
Yeah.
Like nobody's saying that you have to, fold him in half like a lawn chair. Nobody's saying you have to take the man's soul. Nobody's saying you like have to do all that. But at the end of the day, like we're not running up to the quarterback and just throwing our shoulders to the guy trying to like knock him over. We're not doing that. Like wrap and roll. Like we teach these techniques. You've probably been playing football since you were like 5, 6 years old, pee wee football, and all the other crap. You're dang near 30, if not you are 30 now. Like, you've been playing football for 20 plus years, probably. You know the correct way to tackle. If nothing more and you were that scared, wrap him and grab him and immobilize him, and then they would have blew the whistle. You would have had your sack. If you were that scared, if you were that scared. But again, we've been watching this multiple times this year of Giants players just throwing their shoulder into a guy.
Yep.
I.e., the freaking Commanders game, Nick McLeod.
Yep.
You sat up here and instead of just wrapping him and stopping at the 10-yard line, you would have tried to just throw the old chicken wing in there, and he spun right off your stupid self and ran to the end zone. And like I hate to say it, but if we keep tackling like that, it's gonna bite us in the ass at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know, like you're professional football players who've been playing football again for 15 to 20 years. Wrap up. It's that just wrap up. If you're that scared to get a roughing the passer call, just wrap up. Grab the quarterback and hold him because D tackles have been doing that lately. They'll get to the QB and they'll just grab him and hold him, and then they'll blow the whistle because it's like, oh, I'm not going to slam him to the ground and drop all my body weight on him because then they're going to throw a flag. So they just grab him and wrap him up. It's that simple. Like, and like you said, I want to say I don't think it was Elliott. I want to say it was Foles, but regardless of who the quarterback was, just wrap the guy up and then plays over. You have your sack. They got lucky because he let go and he looked around in the air for the ball, whatever, and whoever the quarterback was threw it and it went sailing out of bounds. So they got lucky at the end of the play. But I'm like, avoid all of that. Avoid all of that. Just grab him and wrap him. Like plays
Yeah.
like that. Plays like that, whether I'm a coach or not, and especially because I'm a football coach, and especially because I'm a defensive line coach, and I'm a defensive minded coach. Stuff like that kills me. Just wrap the guy up, wrap him up, and the play's over. Like I hate the shoulder tackling. I hate trying to just throw your body into the guy. I hate that. It gives him extra yards. We've seen people run for touchdowns off of that crap. They try to push somebody out of bounds and he keeps his footing and runs down the sideline. Like, I hate that. Just wrap the guy up and get your sack and let the play to the down. Like, that's my 2 cents on that.
All right. Like I said, I ain't got nothing to refute that. That's exactly how I feel about the situation. Um, Speaking of Nick McLeod, he honestly was very, very inconspicuous in this game, as well as Darnay Holmes, minus like one holding penalty that he had early in the game. I want to say it was on like their first or second drive, one or two of them. It was real early, but other than that, he was he had a very quiet game. He did get hurt in the game, but he managed to
I
get back
heard.
up and play through it. It was a freak accident type thing. It was nothing like he did wrong. He was chasing somebody out of bounds, and when they both fell, he fell on the yard marker. So he went down a little while. He got up or whatever. Like they were checking on him because it happened on the Indy sideline. They were checking on him at that point, and I'm like, all right, they're gonna call the guys over. But then he got up and actually went back on the field a couple of plays later and made a tackle, and he had to go out. But then he was back on the field later in the game. So we weren't actually like too bad with all of that. The one thing that I am gonna bring up, as far as like just notes and things like that, was what we were doing with our offensive line throughout the game. It seemed as though, I don't know if this is exactly what they were doing, but it seemed as though they had Bredesen and Gates taking turns during quarters. So Gates was out there with Feliciano during the first quarter. They swapped Bredesen in the second. Gates came back in the third. And then I did see them both in there in the fourth quarter. I don't know if they played the entire fourth quarter together because, like I said, people were also getting taken out in the fourth, so I don't know what the situation was with that. But I believe Feliciano was pulled in the fourth quarter for Gates. It was a bit iffy, a little bit. Like I know the run game was a little bit better with Bredesen in there. Granted, that could just be Gates still getting his legs under him and things like that. I don't know how long we technically give him, quote unquote, in order to get his legs under him because dude had 7 surgeries on a leg that was facing the wrong direction. So, I don't know how much we put on how fast he recovers and gets back to being the same Nick Gase that we knew he was. But that's what we saw the other day. Feliciano was not too bad. All right. He had his Feliciano plays, but there were also plays where he got out there pulling and lead blocking for other people. Granted, the one play that everybody's going to see, he didn't actually block anybody. He was just out there in front of Saquon. But like he went out there and he was like, at the very least, like he did his job. So, and you're talking about him going up against the likes of DeForest Buckner and the rest of the interior offensive line, interior defensive line for Indianapolis, which is no slouch line. The defense is
Nah,
actually good.
I say with look, Quiddy Pay on one side, Yannick Ngakoue, DeForest Buckner.
Yeah, and,
Like,
and Gakwe, he's on IR right now, so we didn't have to see him. But at the very least,
really? He just play
yeah,
last
they
week?
are they IR'd him before the game.
Oh,
Yeah, he's done for the season. I don't know what happened to him, but yeah, he's out. But he
well,
didn't
just
play on Sunday.
before you keep going, there's an update on DeMar Hamlin. Um, just Cameron Wolf just spoke with Dorian Glenn, DeMar Hamlin's uncle, who said his nephew is on a ventilator, but he's improved to 50% oxygen needed after being at 100%. He's still sedated, but main focus is on recovering to breathe on his own and healing lungs. So he's down to 50%, needing
Good,
the oxygen needed. So that's good.
good.
Um, but yeah, where were you going at? What
No,
was
no, no. I was
yeah,
just basically talking about that situation with the offensive line and how it was that we were, dealing with the defensive line of the Indianapolis Colts. The one thing that I am going to touch on, and granted, both of us are Kayvon Thibodeau fans. All right, absolutely both of us. I am going to nitpick this play though. All right. I'm going to nitpick it just because of the fact that there are consequences to actions. And in the NFL, you may not be the person that actually takes those consequences. It may be your quarterback. All right. So the sack, perfectly fine. All right. In a bubble. Now, he came out and said he didn't know that Nick Foles was down hurt on the ground next to him. I find that a little hard to believe because his arm hit him several times while he was doing his snow angels and everything like that. And like I said, the video that they have, it kind of sort of gives the impression that he looks over and he sees him there, but you can't tell me what somebody sees out of their face mask and their helmet.
right?
So I can't confirm nor deny whether he actually saw the dude next to him, but he should have felt him on the ground next to him as he's doing the snow angels because his arm definitely hit him. Then, like I said, going over on the sideline, granted, this could have been him saying the Colts are done and not I just put Nick Foles in the hospital. But, him doing the sleep sign and everything like that. You got to be a little more aware. Granted, I understand in the moment you're hyped up. Your team is out there. They're basically thrashing somebody for the first time that you have experienced in the NFL. So I get it. The emotions are high. Everything is all going great and everything like that. But you got to understand if this is a more competitive game, and it actually did kind of sort of come to this a little bit later, you're putting yourself and your teammates at risk in that situation. Because for all we know, I'm just going to throw a name out there. I'm not going to say he personally would have done that, but for all you know, Quiddy Pay could have switched over to the other side because he wasn't doing shit to Andrew Thomas. Sorry, but he could have switched over to the other side against your fellow rookie Evan Neal, who's he had a decent game, but he's been struggling. Could switched over to that side and then blown Daniel Jones up, knocked this dude in the next week, and then what are we talking about? Like, you got to understand the target may not necessarily be on you, but it's on your jersey, if that makes sense. So, like I said, I'm not going to completely jump down the man's throat. I understand it's a football game. It is what it is. But then, like I said, later on in the game, you had a situation where Michael Pittman was starting to get into fights with people. Right? He basically, I forgot who it was, but he swung on two people in the middle of the game. He didn't get any flags thrown on him or anything like that because there was no response to it. But he swung on two people out there. I know he mushed somebody's helmet out. I want to say it was actually Julian Love. If it wasn't him, it was Darnay Holmes. One of the two of them. But like I said, it was getting real chippy. later on in the game. And I know it was frustration because of the fact that they were losing, but you can also account the fact that, yo, my quarterback just got knocked out of the game by one of y'all who was acting like a jackass afterwards. So, again, you got to have some type of understanding. I'm not going to say it was unprofessional because, like I said, half of the stuff that goes on the NFL field is completely unprofessional. So it is what it is with that. But you got to have some type of awareness of the situation. So I'm not going to sit up there and completely kill him for it, but just for the future, understand that. I know you ain't going to see it, but maybe you are. Just take that for what it is.
I dig it. Like I said, I watched the play. I watched the replay multiple times. Um, yeah, he sacked Nick Foles, and he was laying next to him. So I do understand. I do agree with what you're saying. Like he was laying next to him, and after a while, it's like what I will say is this. So he was doing his snow angels. Um, I believe it was Dexter Lawrence walked up. It was like hitting him on the chest and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree. He was hitting Nick. It looked like he was hitting Nick Foles' arm or something. So my thing is like, okay, you're doing snow angels. You're hitting. You say you don't know who's next to you. Maybe you think you're hitting somebody's foot or something like that. I don't know. Like I'm not gonna sit here and trash the guy. Oh, he's a scumbag. He's a piece of this. Blah blah. I'm not gonna do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said, I think after a while, my thing is like when you saw not just him, but also his teammates too. Because again, I saw Dexter Lawrence bend down. He was hitting him on the chest, and they were all like kind of around him and everything. And it's like if not KT, one of the other people that are there,
Stop it.
once you, yeah, like once
Mm-hmm.
you see, okay, he's not getting up. Like he's hurt. He's writhing around in pain. He's messed up. Like pick K. Like if you have to physically pick KT up, like, don't let him just keep doing snow angels, snow angels. I'm not making any excuse for KT. Like, if he says he didn't see him again, we can't see in his face mask. We can't see what he's looking at. But you can see in the video he does hit his arm or whatever, like once or twice. Now, maybe he thought he was getting up still. Maybe he thought he was hitting somebody's foot. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But if you're one of the other people on the Giants and you see Nick Foles rolling back and forth in pain, holding his side, not getting up, at that point, literally, if you have to, grab KT and be like, yo, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Do something. Like he's a rookie. He's been getting held most of this year. We talk about it every week. He's getting home to the quarterback these past couple of weeks at a bigger rate, and he's getting his sacks. Like long overdue. Guy's been getting almost home all year. I get you want to celebrate your sack, all that. Once the sack was over, if you saw the guy was hurt, or your teammate saw he was hurt, pick the guy up, move him to the side, do something, be like, yo, stop, look. All right. And then after the fact, don't go to the sideline making go to sleep gestures. Don't
Right.
go to the sideline doing like at that point, all celebrating is done. Like all that's done. You have to, like you said, understand that there can be a target on your team's back if somebody is to see that and perceive it in the way that people clearly some of the Colts players probably did perceive it,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the fans and some of the supporters, whatever else. So it's like, yo, once you sacked him, you realize that he's hurt. You said you stopped and everything. Don't go to the sideline and think that the camera's off you. It's
Mm-hmm.
not off. Your camera's never off you, first off. Second off, you're a polarizing figure. You have big expectations coming out as the fifth pick in the draft. Like, you have people watching you this whole time. You are always under a microscope. You always have the camera on you. I.e., if you don't believe me, see Odell Beckham.
Yep.
You have the camera on you at all times. You just got a sack. People just saw you looking at this like celebrating, which made it look like you like a jackass for celebrating over a person who's hurt. Don't think the camera's off of you. It's not off of you. You stand there, you say, "Oh, I didn't know, sorry, whatever." Like I can't stop what you think. If you think in your heart of hearts, like, yeah, f him, like then that's on you. That's effed up. But I can't. Nobody can stop what you think in your heart of hearts. If you're in the locker room and nobody's recording, cameras are off, whatever, you say what you want. But And again, I'm not promoting you to hurt anybody, but at the same time, like if you're on the field and you see somebody's hurt, do not continue to celebrate. Yeah, you got stopped, and then you went to the sideline and you got caught celebrating again. No, we can't say for sure. Oh yeah, I just knocked him out the game. Nobody can say for sure that that's what you were celebrating about. But just understand the situation. Be smart about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't celebrate. Just go back to the sideline, wait and see what happens, and continue with your game. That's all I got on that.
Yeah, that's honestly pretty much everything about the game. If you want to start moving on to next week and what we got going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I feel like it's pretty. Next week is. I mean, a lot of people are very split on next week. I'll be honest with you.
Mm.
A lot of people are split on it. I mean, I'm always on Twitter and everything, and a lot of people are sitting here like, what do you do? Like, do you start the starters against the Eagles? Do you sit them? Because you don't want to risk injury, but then again, it's like you can potentially knock the Eagles out of a playoff seat. Like, what do you do? So that's really been like the question. But like, yeah,
Honestly, in my case, my bad. I was reading what Legit said. Um,
yeah, it was too.
on honestly, I'm always going to go for, especially in this position that we're in. I'm always going to go for play your people because regardless of whether you sit your starters or not, you're still going to have some people out there that are starters because we don't have that much depth out there. So you got
Yeah,
people that are going to be out there regardless. So like, at what point do you say, all right, this is where we stop? And like at that point, like say you go out there, you don't play Daniel Jones or whatever, and let's just for argument's sake, Tyrod Taylor gets hurt. Like, where are you then? Daniel Jones gonna have to come in the game at that point,
but no,
unless you
Davis
talk about
Mills.
just deactivating him for the game and have Taylor and Webb playing.
Davis Mills. Well, they activated Davis Mills the past like 2 3 weeks. They were running with three quarterbacks.
You mean Davis Webb?
Davis Webb, not
Yeah,
Davis Mills. Yeah, dude. I'll take Davis Mills as my third quarterback. I'll take him.
I like
QB
that.
three. Yeah, Davis Webb. They were rocking with him as a QB. I mean, he was activated the past 2 3 weeks. So,
Mhm.
I mean, God forbid Tyrod goes down again. That would suck. But I don't know. That's really the split. That's
I was
really
gonna
been
say,
the
like, the
split.
other thing is we kind of sort of owe it to our own fan base, and even though this had nothing to do with Brian Dable's regime, his coach and everything,
Yeah,
2 years ago, you
Eagles
can't
screwed us over.
as an organization, you cannot call out another organization and then turn around and do the exact same thing. Like I said, I know this didn't have anything to do with Dable, but it's the situation we're in right now. All right. As far as I'm concerned, play them. Right now, the Eagles are still, regardless of how they've been playing record wise, they are still the best team in the NFC. How do you stack up? Got our asses handed to us the last time. However, we're a little more healthy than we were that time. So, what do? Do you not give yourself the opportunity to see how you measure up in a game that for yourself doesn't mean anything? You mean like 2007? Because Patriots? I don't know. You never know what could happen. I'm not going to sit up here and say we're going to go on a magical run and win a Super Bowl, right? Because and we can need somebody named what's yeah, Myrick. Myrick's number 85, so we would need him to make the ridiculous catch with somebody hanging on his back. No, that's not happening. All right, so
We'd
I'm
have
just
to
saying.
activate that guy. Dude's on the practice squad. We'd have to bring. We'd have to bring that dude back up to the roster.
I'm just saying. Why not? Why not?
I, I'm really on the fence about it. Like, I'll probably only make my own decision about it until like Friday or Saturday. Like, that I do completely agree with the whole with the like 2 years ago and everything. We had a chance to get into the playoffs, and the Eagles sat up here in the middle of a barn burner. Want to be like, well, let's see what Nate Sudfeld can do. We
Mm-hmm.
feel like he could really challenge Jalen Hurts for the starting quarterback spot. Now, 2 years later, Jalen Hurts is potential NFL MVP. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's that. Um, at the same time, again, I don't ever want to put my hands and put our destiny into my else's hands. We
Right.
didn't take care of business at that game. We lost that game, and we had to sit up here and, as a whole giant nation, had to cheer for the Eagles to beat the Cowboys. And the fact
With
and that hurt
Washington.
more Washington, and that
Washington.
hurt more than anything. That hurt more than
Mhm.
anything. And so when you sat up here, I remember I was on Twitter, and when we were talking, and you sit up here, you talk and you watch Giants Nation. I mean, fans and even the players were on Twitter like, "Is this legal? Like, is this even right? Like, you
Yeah.
can't just completely toss it. You can't throw a game on purpose despite another organization."
You had Eagles
Like,
players out there that were basically saying that like this isn't right. This isn't right. Starters
like
on that team. And oddly enough, we're in the exact same situation where Dallas is actually hoping that we knock Philadelphia off. Because if we do that and they end up beating Washington, Dallas wins the division. So this is honestly to a point because of the fact that we're already in the playoffs, so it isn't exactly the same. This is almost the exact same situation.
yes, I mean, like it's close. So I mean, yeah, no, but like, do I really feel good about like the Dallas Nation like cheering us on? It's kind of
I
gross.
don't care. Like,
Like, it's just kind of gross. I don't know. I
to be completely honest with you, and this is absolutely no shot at Dallas. I think we match up better against Dallas than we do against Philadelphia. So I would rather see them in the playoffs.
yeah, yeah, it's true too. Uh, the Eagles just have just showed the Eagles just showed that they're completely human and vulnerable as soon as Jalen Hurts went down.
Mhm.
Just him not playing these past 2 weeks, they just look like a completely different team. For you to lose at home to the Saints, like it's just like, yo, what happened? Like, what do you like? What like, like legit? What
Exactly.
happened?
Especially
Like,
after a game with Gardner Minshew went out there. I want to say, didn't he throw for like 4 touchdowns in that game or something like that against Dallas?
he had, I think it was 335 or something, 335 and 3 touchdowns and 2 picks, something like that. Like,
Yeah,
something crazy.
I know they turned the ball over 4 times, but that game was crazy. Like they should not have fallen
Right,
off like that.
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yo, for you to go from throwing for 300 plus yards, at least 3 touchdowns, and putting up 34 points on Dallas to putting up 10 points against the Saints at home,
Mm-hmm.
like, so it's just like, I don't know. I saw highlights like him, and everything was going wrong. Like Darius Slay was getting beat in coverage, and they weren't getting home like that on the Saints. I'm just like, this is the same 13-3 team, whatever you are. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they just like a completely different team without Jalen Hurts, and it kind of goes to like, that's where I'm sitting here. Like, if Jalen Hurts plays, like, do we even like risk it? Do we care enough? But if Hurts doesn't play, it's like, do you really be like, all right, look, he ain't playing. Let's take the chance. Like, like let's go after it. Like, let's see like what happens with Hurts. Like, if he don't play, like, let's see if we can knock him off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I know what I really want. I want that Vikings rematch. That's what I want.
Well, that's where we're standing right now. I think that San Francisco has the tiebreaker over Minnesota. I believe they're actually sitting in second place right now. So
Mm-hmm.
that would honestly, even if both of them win next week, which San Francisco, who is San Francisco playing next week? Uh,
That I don't know.
no,
That
we're
I'm
about
not
to
sure.
find out in a second.
That I'm not sure who Stanford plays. But I would prefer that Vikings matchup, that Vikings rematch to that San Fran rematch, San Fran game. But just say Arizona.
Yes, they are playing Arizona, and it's a home game. So, Jesus, the spread is 14. Like,
I
come on.
mean, when you're bad, you're bad.
Mm-hmm.
When
So
you're
San
bad, you're
Francisco is playing
bad,
against
man.
Arizona. That's almost a guaranteed win. All right. Now, granted, I don't think they can take over second. I don't think they can take over first, is what I'm saying.
I don't think so.
I think the only way, you know what? I don't know, and I'm not even going to try and get into that. What I'm basically saying is they have something to play for. All right. So, like, honestly, them having to make Green Bay or having to make Detroit or Seattle or whoever is going to be in that position, actually come out to San Francisco, that, it's a little bit more appealing than it is to have New York come out there. So, I don't know, especially because of the fact that you look at Green Bay. Again, not a shot, just telling the history. Aaron Rodgers isn't the best guy in the playoffs. Right? It is what it is. He does not have the best track record once the postseason starts up. Now, whether that be his defense letting him down, his receivers letting him down, the weather letting him down, Jesus letting
Or
him
him letting
down,
the team down
or
for
his arm letting him down, whatever it is, he
no, I'm
does not
saying.
have the best record in the playoffs. All right. Detroit is Detroit. All right. Detroit has been Detroit all season long. Right? They have not gone up against I don't believe they've gone up against the defense like San Francisco is. So, and in my case, the Giants, I don't want to see us play that defense right now. Like, granted, who's to say that Brock Purdy's gonna, that he's gonna react and actually respond to playoff football and be the guy? Who's to say that he can't just go out there and actually be Mr. Irrelevant?
Yeah, it's the thing. The thing I know the last spot is the three-team race. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's the Dolph. It's the Dolphins. It's the Packers, the Lions, and Seattle. The Packers and the Lions play each other. So that's
Oddly enough, this was the funniest thing that I saw Sunday night. Was them exactly trying to split. They actually had the guy that does the election junk with the board and everything up there. They had
yeah.
him explain the playoff situation, and
I
I
saw
was in
that.
tears. I was absolutely in tears. The
I
way
saw
the
that.
thing, the way the thing is set up right now, there's only three teams left. All right, you have again Seattle, you have Detroit, and you have Green Bay. All right, that is 7, 8, 9. Oddly enough, which makes absolutely no sense, Green Bay at number 9 controls its own destiny. All they
When
have to
you're
do is
in,
win. They don't
when
need
you're in,
they don't need anything else. They just need to win. Because with them winning, they automatically overtake Seattle for the tiebreaker. Because that puts them in a situation that improves their conference record to a point that Seattle can't even get to.
like
Seattle would need Green Bay to lose. Detroit would need to beat Green Bay and then have Seattle lose. So this is the weirdest situation possible for a final spot in the playoffs. But what else would an NFL season be without some nonsense like that?
exactly. I mean, it's and it's funny because Seattle's more than likely going to win their game. They have the Rams last week of the season,
Mm-hmm.
so more than likely Seattle's going to win unless Gino really goes in and like shits the bed. Seattle's more than likely going to win against the Rams. So it really like I'm gonna. I'm not gonna lie to you. I also want to watch the Giants season finale, but I'm really gonna be interested in that Packers Lions game. I really want to see what happens in that. Like because like, the Lions have to win, and I believe they need Seattle to lose. The
Yeah,
Packers, I just want to see. I just want to see what's going to happen. The Packers are going to play
actually,
a huge role.
that game is a Sunday night game.
Oh, that's perfect.
That
Oh,
is
that's perfect.
absolutely perfect. It is the last game of the
Perfect.
season. Again, pending the Buffalo Cincinnati game. That's the
Right.
last game of the season.
Oh, that is so perfect to the end of the season. Especially if Seattle wins, Seattle's
It's
going to be sitting up here cheering for Detroit.
yep, the whole time.
Yeah, you're cheering for Detroit. But if Seattle loses, oh my gosh. If Seattle loses, then Lions Packers for the
Yeah,
last spot in the playoffs.
yep,
That is going to be interesting. I can't wait. Like I said, personally, for all the Giants fans watching, like we want the Vikings. We want that rematch.
yeah,
We want that rematch. Like again, with Aziz being back and working towards health, McKinney being back, and if we can potentially, if we can get Adoree back, if we can get Adoree back for that first round against the Vikings, we can beat the Vikings. They only
Those,
won the first time on a 61-yard field goal.
right. Those are the two people that I'm not playing on Sunday. I'm not playing Aziz, and I'm not playing Adoree Jackson. I don't care what the situation is in that place. All right.
I might sit up here and sit McKinney too. Shoot.
Like Adoree, I might play just because of the fact that I'm like, you know what? Maybe I want to let him get his legs under him before he goes out
I'll
into the
say,
playoffs and has the D up against Justin Jefferson. All right.
I'll give Adoree like a quarter, maybe like the first and the third,
Mm-hmm.
but like I wouldn't go out and kill Adoree. I wouldn't go out and kill X either because after the game he went and got X-rays on his hand again. See how his hand held up.
Yeah.
So I don't need that dude.
What they did for X, they didn't put a club on him. They actually went out there and they had a splint on his hand, so he could still kind of sort of catch the ball or whatever. It's just a matter of like the two times that he came close to catching an interception. The one time was that 49-yard catch or whatever, which, like I said, he should have just knocked the ball down on that one. The other one was one he tried to body catch and it bounced off his arm. Granted, he was up in the air at the time. So this
Right.
wasn't a situation where he was just like, okay, I'm just going to catch this ball with my butt. No, he was actually up in the air trying to go over, not over somebody, but trying to, he's
Mm-hmm.
trying to make an acrobatic play on the ball, and he just didn't make it. So, like I said, I'm not going to fault him for that one. That's just kind of sort of how things happen in that particular situation. But that's how everything is shaping out right now. Um, like I said, if Minnesota and San Francisco both win, then we're looking at a matchup with Minnesota again, which I know most Giants fans are actually looking forward to. For some reason, your uncle wants to play San Francisco. I don't want that right now. Um,
No, I don't want that right now.
I don't want that right now. Like I know Justin Jefferson's pissed off because he only had like 2 yards the other day. So, but look, it is what it is right now. I want my rematch. Right. I want my rematch. We have the opportunity to avenge this 61-yard field goal that should not have happened. So
Mm-hmm.
let's go out there and let's do something about it. With Daniel Jones starting to heat up with his arm the way that he is, going out there putting 330 something yards on Minnesota a couple of weeks ago. Come on, let's go.
That was the
Do it.
biggest thing for me. He was shredding them, yo. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was shredding Minnesota's defense. That's what I want to see again. I want to see him go out and dime these guys up for another 300 yards and take care of the ball, not throw a pick. And not only him take care of the ball, but everybody else need to take care of the ball, like Bellinger and everybody. And then if we can get after Kirk Cousins, because we didn't get after him too much the first game, so we can get after him with KT and Dex and Aziz this time, like we
Mm-hmm.
have a really good chance of winning this game. So
There was one thing that I completely forgot because you reminded me about getting after the quarterback. There was something that we were doing. I don't know if this was 100% scheme or if this was just Thibodeau that was doing this, but there seemed to be a lot of stunts between him and whoever is lined up next to him. Whether that, I think that was, it was probably Cat that was
okay,
lined up next to him on the DL. I don't like that. I don't like it. Thibodeau is what 240 pounds
I think even at,
as an edge.
I think they have him listed at 245, 250. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a fan of sending him in there facing a guard center combination like that. I'm really not a fan of that. Like you got to get somebody that's a little bit bigger to be trying to pull some mess off like that. If you want to run a stunt with Jahad Ward. All right, running that stunt with Thibodeau right there, that is not appealing to me. We're not talking about Justin Tuck. All right,
ah,
that's a
true.
dude that could line up at every position on the defensive line just because he was that guy. Thibodeau's too small for that. Dude is a big linebacker. So, like I said, I'm just in the camp of I'm not really a fan. Like, granted, all right, Wayne Martindale, of course, he knows way more about defense than I do, but I just don't like putting my people in position to die. So, come on, gonna come up there and get eaten by a center one day. Anyway, that's all I got on that situation right now. I will say go Jags on Sunday. I do want to see them win the AFC South.
Yeah, that would be amazing, amazing. The Jags go out with the AFC South. Oh
Yep.
man,
They're actually
oh,
leading the
man.
division right now. I believe it is winning in for them.
That would
And
be
they
dope.
are playing Tennessee.
Yo, it's like, oh, it's everything is just lining up. Like the stars are aligning. Please go out and win this game, Jags. I've been picking them in this fan in our pick 'em podcast like every week, like the past like 4 or 5 weeks. I've been picking them at least 4 or 5 weeks.
Hmm.
And they have like you said, they have the Titans and they're starting Josh Dobbs again. So you
Yep.
have a good chance to go out and win that game. A really good chance. Oh man. We done?
Yep. That looks like it's it. I was actually looking to see if I could actually pull up the standings real quick. There's playoff standings. Yep. Jacksonville is sitting there at number 4, 8-8. That would be going up against, legit Chargers if they can, seal this off.
Ooh. Oh, legit.
And then you got a nasty three way tie at the end of the AFC as well. New England, Miami, and Pittsburgh all sitting at 8-8.
That's crazy. That is crazy. The Steelers were 2-6. Battle all the way back. And I might have to give. I might have to go for the Steelers again. I might have to go. I just see them pull another one out.
Mm.
Uh, the Dolphins at this point, like I'm just disappointed because they started off so hot and now these guys have lost like 6 in a row, something like that. I want to say they're like 8-2,
Yeah, it was wild. I
and
don't know
now
exactly what their record was, but I know like they sat up there and when they smacked Buffalo around, I was like, whoa, what is happening? Like, but
I
then
don't
like I
I
said,
don't
Tua
know.
got hurt too. So
I have no clue. Like I said, the AFC is going to be even more wild than the NFC at this point.
mhm.
There you go. Legit said the Dolphins were 8-3, now 8-8. They lost 5 straight.
Yeah.
So legit, I might have to go against your Chargers this week. As much as I love Herbie, should have been a Giant. But as much as I
Oh
love
God.
Herbie, every time I say Justin Herbert's name, I will finish it with should have been a Giant because he should have been a Giant. But like I
Like that
said,
dude. You're like that dude that edited Peyton Manning's Wikipedia page.
yo, every time like I'm not gonna reopen that wound. I'm not gonna reopen that. It's still too soon.
Oh yeah. Before we close this thing out, I need to call out something real quick. As far as the media goes, um, and honestly, our own fans as well. Um, this started to pop up over the last couple of weeks. Why it is that these guys, for some strange reason, seem to think that Daniel Jones deserves MVP votes. Let's not go that far. First of all, because we all know that most valuable player means best player in the league. Doesn't actually mean most valuable because that's how they give the award out. Right? If you want to start putting out whoever the most valuable player is on the team, then you need to start voting like that. And that's how you need to actually give the award out. Um, as far as, you know, our own fans, and one of the things that I did want to not necessarily call out, but I wanted to shout out was Brian Dable at the end of the game. Game's completely out of reach at this point. We're up 38-10, which is how the game ended for the most part. Um, and he sent Jones out there hearing something, honestly, for me, that I've never thought I would hear. Daniel Jones chants in MetLife Stadium. From the time that man was drafted in 2019, us sitting in Oak Barrel, mouths open, eyes wide, bloodshot. What the hell are we doing? So a couple of even like throughout this entire season, everybody's still saying, no, we need to move on. We need to draft Anthony Richardson. We need to do this. We need to do that. To now, 2 games, Minnesota and Indianapolis. The man was getting MVP chance. Granted, Homer, because it was our fans that were doing it. But if you know our fans and our history when it comes to Daniel Jones, that's insane. All I'm saying is, bro, keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
I'm
I
telling
want to
you.
see it some more.
I think his stats were 32 33,206 yards passing. I want to say it was 16 passing touchdowns and like seven rushing or six rushing. I think he has like 22 total touchdowns. And I think he has
Mhm.
like and he has like 700 something yards rushing too. Something like that.
Yeah, he's 92 yards away from 800.
So he has
So he's
708.
708.
708.
He's sitting at 708, which he would I think Entertainer put it out there. It was either Entertainer or somebody else. It was one of the Giants YouTubers put it out there that if he gets those 92 yards, he'll be one of only six or five or six quarterbacks in NFL history that have
Yeah,
put up 3,000 passing and 800 rushing yards.
I
As far
saw
as I'm
that.
concerned, no. I do
I
not want
saw
to see
that.
him rushing for 92 yards next week, unless he breaks a 92 yarder and doesn't break his face in this time.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's the only way I want to see him actually get this record. Right? I don't want to see him put in a position enough
Yeah,
to actually go out there and put 92 yards out there. Hopefully, we're in out there and actually relying on his arm more so than his legs. Although both of us for the entire year have been like saying, use the option, use the option, use the option. In this game in particular, I say go out there and try to win, but at the same time, don't throw your quarterback to the wolves because we know this guy is nuts, and you know he will go out there and he will throw his entire head into a defensive lineman or something like that to try and get a first down or a touchdown. Right? I love him, but stop it. Sometimes you got to protect people from themselves, and I think
yeah,
this week is one of them weeks.
yeah. My man definitely will lower his shoulder into a D tackle's face.
Mm-hmm.
Just throw his throwing shoulder into a D tackle. Like, can you not jeopardize the entire franchise? Like, like just the simple things. Just the simple things. Like, just oh, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, this last week's gonna be great. Though it's gonna be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I'm happy to know that we're booked. I'm happy to like we booked our ticket. We're in no matter what. That I'm happy to know about. But seeing what our game plan is going to be against Philly is going to be one thing, and then just watching the rest of the playoff games unfold is going to
Yeah.
be big. Watching Seattle, see how they do. Then getting the Packers Lions at 8 o'clock, and then like you said, the Jags game, the Titans. So it's going to be a lot. Like there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a lot to pay attention to. I'm really looking forward to it. So
Yeah.
we'll me and Paul we'll talk more about it tomorrow on the Pick'em podcast. But I think I'm good. I think we're good here.
Yeah. You and me both.
Yeah. Well, another week's in the books. Another victory formation for the Giants. Our ticket has been punched to the playoffs. Can't say that enough. Feels so good. First time since 2016. Uh, and the last week of the NFL season is upon us. It is coming very soon. We will wait and see. But everybody, thanks for watching. Another show's in the books. Check out our page, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all your sports highlights, and sometimes our lowlights, comedic films, and everything else. Um, Thank you for watching, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night, Tuesday evening, wherever you are watching, or if it's Wednesday and you're across the country, then very nice. Until next time, we're your two-man group. Thank you, legit. Look to see you probably tomorrow night, legit. We'll do our pick 'em podcast. Hope to see you then, legit. We might have to get you on a show or something. We'll talk on Twitter or something. But until then, everybody, have a great night. Thanks for watching. Like, support, share, comment. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to push for our first 100 subscribers. That'd be great. Maybe if we do, we can do a giveaway or something. That'd be awesome. But till then, thank you.